so fragile, like it was built to break off the handle. How'd we get to this place? We're leaving everything behind for new and exciting feelings, but I won't leave you. Will everything we know be lost and changed for something new? Only time will tell, but I'll be holding you. I'll be holding you. Let's slow down. I wanna live right now. I'm not worried, thinking about tomorrow. I'm feeling everything I need from you. It's all I believe in. I know you feel it too. Will everything we know be lost and changed for something new? Only time will tell, but I'll be holding you. 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 Over the edge, feel like I'm floating through the air. The pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web. I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
What is going on, guys? I had just switched when I saw the rave comment, so that is funny. First of all, this is the music that is non-copyrighted, and it says best of 2020, so I haven't heard this any of these songs, so I don't know what the deal is with that. But listen, and TJ's in the chat. Listen, if you guys want me to change the playlist, first of all, what genre do you want me to play? Is it rock? Is it pop? I feel like this was a happy medium between the two because I hear a little bit of rock, I hear a little bit of rap, I hear a little bit of everything in these songs, and I thought it would get you guys pumped up, but apparently not. I can't use real songs, all right? So you guys have to get that through your heads, or else I'm paying out of pocket thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to use copyrighted material. So let me know in the comment section whatever you guys prefer. We are going to be breaking down this NBA slate TJ is with us in spirit. You guys see him in the chat. I'm sure he's popping in here answering some questions. So I guess he'll be monitoring the chat. We also have our mods in the chat. Thank you, mods, for being here. Thank you guys for showing up. I know it's 2 o'clock right now, Eastern Standard Time, so a lot of you are working. So if you guys are sneaking out of work to catch this, this will be posted directly after. If you guys want to catch it for an hour when you're constructing your lines, feel free to jump out of this, and I will post the live stream directly after all this is said and done. All right. So TJ is with us in spirit. He also uploaded the projections here to my projections here. I'm going to be switching over to Fantasy Cruncher. They are based on usage with certain people off the floor. Guys, we're going to be taking a look at all that here in just a second. Thank you guys so much for the support. All right. Our Nightbot's already going after people. Here we go. Use the Office theme song, so that's copyrighted. See, all right. So let's go ahead and switch over and dive right into the slate, guys. I cannot wait to break this down. Right now, I'm looking at Fantasy Labs, and the last thing that came out is Kyle Quinn missed coronavirus test is out Monday. I don't think that really affects much as far as the minutes, but we'll go ahead and give that a look. What kind of update is that? Kyle Quinn missed coronavirus test. How do you do that? First of all, how do you miss a coronavirus test when it's literally the most important thing to pass when you're in the NBA bubble? A lot of these Spurs are out. My own Spurs. So, yes, they are the target team right now. We're going to switch over. We're going to switch over and start looking at the usage rate. So, when we have the Spurs, we have the starting lineup projected right now. DeJounte Murray, Derek White, Lonnie Walker, DeMar DeRozan, and Hurdle. Starting at center, we have Aldridge, Lyles, Bellinelli, and Forbes out for the Spurs. So they're on a thin rotation. Yes, I know it's popping. I know that they're playing Philly, which is a good defensive unit, especially with Joel Embiid down low. Let's go ahead and crunch the usage because, as you guys know, do not worry too much about the pace when you have a lot of people out for a certain team, and especially if they're on the thin rotation. The Spurs are a great team to target right off the bat here. If we look at these other teams, we have a couple other injuries right now. We have pending injury news on Bididiz. We have a game-time decision on Brogdon. Same with Oladipo. I think Oladipo is more towards doubtful right now. That will switch up things, especially against Washington. The good news is that they are playing at 4 o'clock, so we should know the injury news before lock, hopefully within this live stream. Also, guys, if this is your first time to the live stream, please hit that subscription button. Of course, guys, please smash that like button. I really do appreciate all the support. Hopefully you guys do that. I also got some questions over the weekend. Why are we not doing NBA live streams during the weekend? Why are we not doing videos? Why are we not doing MLB videos and all that jazz? Weekends are absolutely crazy as far as DFS, and especially with all these sports coming back. The good thing about the weekdays is that I have a lot of time to post my content throughout the day. I'm sitting down in front of my desk. Yes, guys, I do have a normal life outside of DFS, so weekends are usually not my weekends off, but they are more of a chill time for me. So I do apologize for not getting out as much content on the weekends as I normally do during the weekdays. Hopefully you guys understand, and hopefully you guys stay along for the ride. All right, so Spurs. Let's go ahead and switch over to Court IQ when we edit this player pool. I'm going to cover the chat real quick. I'm not seeing anybody's comments right now. We are taking Aldridge. We are taking Lyles. Lyles off. We are taking Bellinelli. And we are taking Forbes off the court. And let's see what that does. If I can find Forbes. Am I blind? Forbes. There he is. Goodness. All right. So we are looking at an increase of DeMarre Carroll of plus 8.1%. But guess what? DeMarre Carroll is not going to be playing in this game, I do believe. I don't even know if DeMarre Carroll plays for this team anymore, to be honest. Yeah, I haven't seen him, so I don't even think he's on the roster. DeMarre Carroll, obviously not playing. We have the next biggest increase here. DeRozan plus 2.4% and a 0.11 fantasy point increase. If we look up here, DeMar DeRozan averages 1.25 fantasy points with Aldridge off the court. A great target for me for the Spurs. What's going on, guys? And we also have Rudy Gay, 1.02 fantasy points per minute, and we have DeJounte Murray, a 1.12 fantasy point production with all these guys off the court, you guys will see across the board that the Spurs get an increase across on the usage and also with fantasy point increases across the board, guys. So if we switch over, we will get a good idea of the percentage ownership on these Spurs. We had DeJounte Murray projected the most here at 22.1%, Derek White at 18.7%, DeMar DeRozan 13.7%, Jacob Hurtle at 10.5%, which he actually did go down, Lonnie Walker at 9.5%. These guys are good targets right now for GPP with the ownership being so low. Again, this is a lower paced game, so I do like the Spurs in this GPP matchup. Okay, I'm not being biased whatsoever. If you guys look across the board, thin lineup, DeMar DeRozan is priced accordingly at 8.2. However, his price still doesn't make sense. 1.25 fantasy points per minute. And again, he's going to have to step it up again versus Philly, obviously the main scorer. Derek White has been absolutely killing it. If you guys are looking for some under-the-radar type guys, a lot of these guys are in awkward positions as far as ownership. Should we play them in cash? Should we not? I think these guys are good targets for smaller GPPs, mid-sized GPPs, and a way to differentiate yourself. Heck, you can even stack the Spurs. If they do go over their projected 110.25 projected total right now, it's a great spot for them. Okay, I really do like the Spurs. Again, these ownerships aren't final. They're as of right now. They should change again in about an hour. But relatively looking, we are looking at this. The ownership should be about the same. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go next on the list. Let's talk about the Pacers. Okay. I don't like staying in the same game if it's not worth talking about. I know TJ does. But again, Kyle Quinn and Mike Scott definitely aren't the usage hogs that we normally are crazy about. So let's go ahead and talk about Indiana real quick. Let's go ahead and talk about Indiana Sabonis. But it is, let me put this over the chat. Sabonis. Let's just assume that these guys are out first of all, okay? Oladipo. But it is. And Oladipo. Why can't I find these guys? Oh, I already checked off Oladipo. Who am I missing? Sabonis. Brogdon. Duh. Okay. So let's take these guys off the court. Now, one thing I will say is Aaron Holiday is one of my favorite guys to play off this team once Brogdon is out because his usage goes up a tremendous amount, okay? Aaron Holiday goes up 3.3% and 0.19 fantasy points per minute. I like Aaron Holiday, especially if both Oladipo and Brogdon are out. He averages 1.03 fantasy points per minute. And if you guys look at his price tag, let's go ahead and switch here to Indiana. If you look at his price tag at $5,000, he should end up, his price tag really should be around $6,000, especially if he's playing in an up-paced game against Washington. So a very undervalued guy here. Again, on that bubble of whether you should play him in cash or GPP, I really like Aaron Holiday in this spot. I think he's going to go overlooked. The chalk is going to be on Miles Turner. Now, I'll tell you why, because the thin rotation of the big guys down low, obviously with Bidadas being out, and same thing with Sabonis. Turner, if we look here, 1.23 fantasy points per minute. And if we go down here, Miles Turner gets a 7.9% boost in usage. Yes, that's not the biggest sample size, but 279 minutes is definitely not something to ignore, okay? Just with both of these guys off the court, he should do everything. When you're getting a guy that has to do everything down low at $6,100, pretty much an auto lock in every format, outside of like huge GPPs. 31.2% is what he's projected at right now in big GPPs. I do think that will go up. Obviously, the chalk is going to be here with Miles Turner. All right. Type 1 for you. Thanks, TJ. Justin is better. Justin. Oh boy. Okay. I read that as another guy in the industry. Okay, Justin Holiday. Yes, Justin Holiday is actually less productive fantasy point per minute wise, so let's talk about Justin Holiday. Justin Holiday usually gets about the same minutes, but he averages 0.71 fantasy points per minute, 13.3% usage, which is actually one of the lowest on the team. Justin Holiday just comes off as a shooter. He doesn't do too much, all right? I don't hate Justin Holiday because of the minutes he's projected. Right now, he is projected at 30.25 minutes. I do like that. All right. Aaron Holiday projected at nearly the same, 31.25. If you're talking about which one I prefer, I'm going to go towards Aaron Holiday, especially if he's carrying slightly lower ownership. I like the guy slightly more because of his upside. Justin Holiday, $3,700 is the reason why everybody's on him. Again, just one of those guys. He's going to be out there for 30 minutes, has to hit that price tag. And with everybody off the court, he has to step it up, right? Against Washington, this is why they are so chalked, because Washington is a very, very high-tempo team, all right? All of these guys are going to be good targets. And I know I'm going to get this question. I haven't even looked at the chat yet. What do I think about TJ Warren? Let me tell you guys this. TJ Warren got that heavy price increase. And if you guys remember TJ Warren of old, guys, that was a career game. Okay, $7,400 is not a TJ Warren price tag. A TJ Warren price tag is anywhere from $55,000 to $6,000. Yes, he did phenomenal, and I hope he keeps it up, and I hope he proves me wrong. But at 15.8% ownership at $7,400, this could be bad chalk. Now, this again is on the bubble between a GPP cash play. A lot of people are going to be sneaky here and take TJ Warren. Guys, TJ Warren is not that efficient of a player. I'm not hating on him. I'm saying for his allotted 34, 35 minutes, he's not that productive of a fantasy point per minute player. Yes, this number will probably be skewed. If I look over here, TJ Warren in 237 minutes, 1.13 fantasy points per minute. That's okay. But in 34 minutes projected at $7,400 in an up-paced game, it might be an overreaction. I like Turner. I like Holiday. I like both Holidays. TJ Warren's okay, but he's not my favorite on the team. Okay. So yes, that is my hate on TJ Warren. It was a career game, and yes, he did everything in the last game. Okay, he did absolutely everything. I hope he does it again. I hope he proves me wrong. But if you guys are looking for an outside GPP option, I don't suggest TJ Warren. I like these other guys on Indiana a little bit better. If TJ Warren hits value, awesome, but it won't be by much. I do suspect. Okay? Especially if Brogdon. By the way, I'm assuming that Brogdon and I'm assuming Brogdon, Oladipo, Sabonis, and Bidasz are all out. Bidasz and Sabonis should be out. These guys are questionable. I think Oladipo will sit. It's more on Brogdon. Okay? If he is out, obviously everything I just talked about is completely relevant. But if Brogdon is actually playing, I like him. Okay? I like him. $6,200 without Oladipo. If we look at his, so let's go ahead and take and put Brogdon on the court. Let's see what he's looking like. Brogdon in 249 minutes, 1.22 fantasy points per minute, a lot higher than TJ Warren. And if TJ Warren is playing, look at this, 0.97 fantasy points per minute without Oladipo. That is just under fantasy point per minute, $7,400 for this guy. It's not worth it if Brogdon plays. Okay, it's totally not worth it. He's a complete fade. Seriously, don't overreact on Warren, okay? But I really do like Brogdon in the spot, 1.22 fantasy points per minute. If you're looking at that for his price tag of $6,200, that's a complete steal. One of the best players on the court if he does play. What about TJ McConnell? So TJ McConnell is totally dependent on how many minutes he's going to get. Right now, he's projected at 21 minutes. If Brogdon is out, yes, we are interested in that. Again, we have to adjust for the minutes. I am going to be a McConnell fan, yes, but $4,500. I'm still looking at both Holidays. I'm looking at Turner and probably even Warren at that point. It's really dependent on the minutes. If Brogdon is out, okay. But right now, I don't like McConnell at that $4,500 price tag with the 21 minutes. All right. So we pretty much got through both of the high-owned teams. So we have Indiana and San Antonio. You guys want me just to go through the rest of the teams? I feel like that is the best option. Right now, there's not too many huge injuries that are going to impact or break the slate. We always have those game-time decisions on LeBron or AD. For that reason, by the way, you guys should hold off. Always play a couple lineups that are saving for the late games, which means that you're stacking the late games, because just in case one of these guys gets ruled out on these late games, like can you imagine if AD got ruled out last minute, which does happen more often than not, you guys can pivot to all these Lakers and you're in for a takedown, okay? Especially if the chalk busts earlier in the day. Definitely one of the best strategies I recommend in NBA, utilizing late swap on Draftkings to your advantage. All right. So let me go ahead and just catch up on some questions, and then I'll go ahead and move on. Like I said, I don't have TJ with me today to monitor the chat nearly as much. All right. First question. So if Brogdon is in, no Aaron Holiday. If Brogdon is in, I'm less likely to start Aaron Holiday. Right now, it's assuming he's in. Aaron Holiday still isn't that bad of a play. I have to check. Indiana. Yeah, so with Brogdon on the court, he's still projected at 31 minutes. I don't hate him. I think that pretty much everybody on Indiana is viable for cash. For GPP, if Brogdon is out, I love Aaron Holiday. I also like Justin Holiday, and I love Miles Turner. Okay? If Brogdon is playing, I like Brogdon himself. He should get the minutes. I like Justin Holiday still at 3,700, and I like Miles Turner. Okay? All right. Glenn Robinson is out and Terrence Ferguson is out. What does that do to their teams? Not much, okay? We'll go over that, but it doesn't do much. I have to update the minutes on those two guys. Favorite leverage play value. So favorite leverage play, I do post, again, to Patreon. I don't give out my exact favorite leverage spots, but I will say Spurs are at the top of the list for sneaky GPP plays because nobody likes to play these guys because of Pop. And I'll go through some of these low-owned teams in just a second. Would Monte Morris be a good swap from Justin Holiday or from just Holiday if Brogdon plays? It matters which Holiday you're referring to. But Monte Morris right now, if we look at this Denver, let's go ahead and just roll through the teams. So if we look at Denver, we have Barton. I don't know how to pronounce that last guy's name. Gary Harris and Jamal Murray is a game-time decision. Let's go ahead and look at his status. Very questionable for Monday's game, so yes. Jamal Murray is going to change the entirety of this roster because Jamal Murray is a high-usage guy. He's heavily involved in the offense. So if he is ruled out, let's go ahead and talk about that. Very questionable is not a good sign. Let's switch over and go to Denver. Let's go ahead and take off Jamal Murray. I'm covering you guys up right now. Jamal Murray, Gary Harris. I'm blind. Hopefully TJ's not watching. Barton. Let's run it. Oh, Schroeder out. All right. That's good that we're getting that on stream. So we'll crunch Schroeder's numbers in just a second. That's good because that's a high usage guy. All right. So we'll talk about that in just a second. Did you guys just get that? Let me refresh the page. Yep. Leaves bubble. Nice. What an idiot. Ish Smith will start at point guard. That's noteworthy because that should put up his minutes. Glenn Robinson ruled out. Okay. Nothing too impactful besides that Schroeder news. All right. So let's talk about Denver. Yes, guys. We are on it. I love the chat. You guys are always on it. All right, TJ. Yeah, TJ, can you send that to my email? I'm going to go ahead and put that into Fantasy Cruncher, see what we're looking at. TJ's crunching numbers on them. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at Denver. Denver, we have usage across the board that goes up. We have Diop, 2%. That's in 5 minutes of a sample size. That's not very good. Who else? Millsap, one of my favorite GPP plays of all time. 0.46 points increase. That can't be over a large sample size. Let's go ahead and take a look. Millsap, 42 minutes. Yeah, nothing to really look at there. Jeremy Grant, 4.4%. Grant. Oh, so this is noteworthy right here. So, if Barton, Gary Harris, Jamal Murray are out, Jeremy Grant becomes a decent play. 0.94 fantasy points per minute. Let's go ahead and take a look at his price tag. $4,700. I like that at 4% ownership. If he is rolled out, somebody who could get overlooked, he usually is. He usually doesn't carry that much ownership. A banger bust kind of guy. He actually, I was watching the game and I happened to turn on the TV once Denver was was playing, whoever they're playing in the last game. He drove to the hole and just dunked on somebody. And it was like right when I turned on the TV. I did not know that Jeremy Grant was that athletic. He looked like one of the most athletic guys on the floor when I turned it on. I did not expect that. I thought it was somebody like Michael Porter, because all the hype's there with Michael Porter, but it was Jeremy Grant. So Jeremy Grant, a sneaky play here at 4,700, 4.1 ownership if everybody is ruled out. Let's go ahead and look. If you can assume, if Jamal Murray is ruled out, all of these superstars on this team are going to carry high ownership. Jokic, Millsap's going to get a bump in minutes, probably closer to 28 to 30 minutes. Jokic, yes, I know he's a flop last game, but that had blowout potential. He slowed down. He got off to a roaring start at the beginning of last game. $9,400. He will go up in ownership. Michael Porter will also go up. $4,500 is still undervalued because he gets a huge increase in usage. If we look up and down the roster here, Michael Porter 0.6%, and he is at 1.07 fantasy points per minute. When you're talking about that kind of production from somebody coming off the bench, and heck, if he does start, 23 minutes is what he's projected at. That's with Murray playing. His minutes will go up to like 28. If you're talking about a guy that averages over a fantasy point per minute, 1.07 fantasy points to be exact, I mean, you're talking about a price tag that should be around $6,000. $4,500 is way too cheap for this guy. Okay? All right, yeah, Torrey Craig is another under-the-radar guy. His price tag did go up. I'm not as high on him because he is another hit-or-miss kind of guy. He's just a shooter. Monte Morris, obviously at $5,000. All those guys become viable. But Jokic, Millsap, Porter, Jeremy Grant, I think the rest under that are going to become GPP plays. All right, you guys have to realize that all of these price tags did adjust based on their last game's performance, so it makes it not as viable in that case. All right. All right, so let's go over to the Schroeder story here. Let me refresh the page, see what our ownership is looking like first of all. Did it update? Probably not. Yeah, Schroeder is still showing at 5.7% ownership, so he's not out of the pool yet. Let's go ahead and take a look at OKC's picture. Ferguson and just Schroeder. All right. Oklahoma City. I am blind. Ferguson, Schroeder, right next to each other. Look at that. All right. So what does this do to this picture? So, nothing there. Nothing. Burton, no. Steven Adams, plus 4% usage, which is actually pretty noteworthy. 1.16 fantasy points per minute. Let's go ahead and take a look at Steven Adams. Steven Adams, $5,400. 20. There's a good GPP option. I like that. I like Steven Adams. So 4% usage. And how much does he get bumped in? Oops. He gets a 0.08 fantasy point per minute increase. 1.16 fantasy points per minute is actually not that bad. Steven Adams then becomes a sneaky GPP option. I wonder if he'll be chalky. Probably won't be because there's so many options at the center spot. Gallinari, let's go ahead and take a look at him. Gallinari is already chalky. Keep that in mind. Plus 1.9%. So it looks like across the board, these guys get an increase in usage, at least the guys that matter. Chris Paul actually goes down slightly, but that's nothing really to look at, to pay too much attention to. Yeah, I'd say the guys that kind of stand out to me are going to be Steven Adams, Gallinari. Go back here. Chris Paul's just doesn't really change that much. His minutes will go up slightly, probably from the 31 to like 34 range, I'd say. So, yeah. So, I mean, let's kind of peel this back right now. All right, so we have Schroeder out. We have the Spurs situation, and then we have Indiana. I'd say the slate's going to depend on this Indiana game because they're in the highest over-under, or second highest, rather. Tied with the second highest. All right, so they're at a 227.5. We have Memphis and the Pelicans, which we haven't even talked about, okay? I think once the news breaks on this Indiana game, that's going to determine where the chalk's going to be. I have to update my ownership here. But if Brogdon is ruled out for Indiana, that's going to dictate where the chalk is. I will say that now. Let's go ahead and take a look at Memphis and the Pelicans before we go too much further. Ja Morant, and I'm not a Ja Morant fan for DFS, and I'll tell you why. Because if you look here, I know I'm about to get absolutely roasted in the chat. If they weren't playing the Pelicans, I would think this is horrible chalk for Ja Morant. So let's just run the query here. Tyus Jones is out, yes, but that doesn't do much to his production. If you guys look at Ja Morant, he averages 1.13 fantasy points per minute. That's okay. But the one thing I hate about Ja Morant is his price tag always makes me hard to get on him. $7,300, 32.6% ownership. He's almost a must in cash. But if I think somebody is going to bust today as far as chalk, I don't like this guy. I don't like Ja Morant because he's not that productive of a player when he's on the floor. It's not because he's not good. It's because they have a lot of weapons. They have a lot of shooters. Valanciunas, Dillon Brooks is a shooter. Jaren Jackson is a rising star as well. I think Ja Morant is in the same bucket as like Doncic last season when he was in his rookie year, right? Borderline superstar material, and then in his sophomore year is when he started to flourish. And obviously Doncic is one of the best players in the NBA. Now I feel like Ja Morant is still just on the brink of breaking out. They're not willing to give him the keys to the team. I like Ja Morant for cash just because of his ownership, but his upside isn't there. I get it's the Pelicans, but I really do like a lot of these other Memphis Grizzlies. I always say target Memphis Grizzlies against I say always target guys against the Pelicans. I like Brandon Clark. I like Jaren Jackson. These guys are undervalued. 4,200, 6,200. Dillon Brooks, a shooter, 5,100, could easily get it going. I actually like Kyle Anderson at 25 minutes. I like guys, you always target very cheap shooters in games like this because the Pelicans obviously give up a ton of offense. All right. I'm not saying Ja Morant can't have a good game. I'm saying I always hate his price tag because he's not as productive as what his price tag says. Okay. 1.13 fantasy points per minute. You're talking just over $6,000. You're talking 65 to 7,000. Okay. Valanciunas. Look at this guy. 1.3 fantasy points per minute. Talk about a GPP play. Valanciunas at 5.8%, $7,900. Nobody's going to touch him at 27 minutes. Load up Valanciunas. 1.3 fantasy points per minute could easily get there. Easily. And then some. Okay? Look at this. $7,900 for Valanciunas and then $7,300 for Ja Morant. Yes, he's playing 36 minutes. But I don't know. I don't hate Ja Morant as a player. I hate him as a DFS player because they always overprice him. Always. Always have, always will. All right? But that being said, Memphis is a great team to target for cash. Okay? Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson is probably going to be the cutoff. Brandon Clark. I like Dillon Brooks as a GPP option. I like Kyle Anderson. I love Valanciunas. Melton down here at 22 minutes could even do something. Well, he's $5,000, so talk about a GPP play. I probably won't recommend Melton. But yeah, Kyle Anderson, Valanciunas, Brooks, great GPP options. They're going to get overlooked 100%. 107 watching and 14 likes. All right. So here we're getting the updates. Brogdon will play. Oladipo will not. So let's go right back to the Indiana picture here. Miles Turner, obviously a lock. Everything's going to stay the same here. I think that they already ruled out. Yeah, they already ruled out Oladipo. So pretty much everything you see on the page here is going to stay the same. I don't think these guys are locks. I think Miles Turner and Justin Holiday, because of percentage ownership, are going to be near locks. Aaron Holiday's a bubble. I don't know. TJ Warren, definitely not a lock per se. Brogdon, I'm on. If he's getting those 29 to 32 minutes, which is what he's projected at right now, I think Brogdon is a great play. $6,200. Right now his ownership is showing low. If that doesn't go up, I like him as a GPP option for sure. Again, it's the Wizards, very bad defense. You're looking at Indiana and Memphis, I think, are great teams to target as far as upside, actual player upside. You guys can really pick anybody on the roster and expect them to have a very good, at least plenty of opportunities to score. Okay? Same thing with the Spurs. Their over-under is actually pretty impressive. I'm kind of confused as a Spurs fan because they don't usually play in very, very high-paced games. They're contesting here with Indiana, Washington. And again, this is Philly. So Philly usually plays in a paced down kind of offense here. So Spurs, Indiana, Memphis, teams to target. And now with OKC, you can grab some shares of OKC. I'm not against I definitely like Gallinari. I like Alexander. Chris Paul's okay for GPP, and I like Steven Adams for GPP. All right? Let me go ahead and refresh the page and see what kind of ownership we're looking like, see if it updated. It did not. So right now, Fantasy Cruncher is going through all the updates, and they will update the ownership. Hopefully we get that out before the stream ends. Justin stays locked. If you are very passionate about starting Justin Holiday, I don't hate it. I don't hate Justin Holiday. 0.73 fantasy points per minute is just not too impressive. His minutes are, though. His minutes, around 30, 31 minutes, is impressive. All right. All right, so now let's go to these teams that are going to get overlooked completely in terms of ownership here, okay? Let's go to the Lakers and Utah game. Projected right now at 217, which is the lowest on the slate. Look at these guys' ownership. If you guys are looking for GPP options and superstars, Anthony Davis won't be owned. LeBron James won't be owned, at least not as high owned as they should be for being superstars. Kyle Kuzma, 4,400. I know a lot of people were on Kyle Kuzma in our Discord chat. I don't mind him, but I mean, as far as upside, I like both of these superstars. I mean, we have AD projected, he's priced at 9,800. If you're talking about the upside of just having a superstar on your roster, 9,800 for AD is a steal, and a steal at this ownership. I like him. I like LeBron James, 10-7, 17.3%, which is actually lower owned than AD. If you're looking for even lower ownership, LeBron James, obviously a great GPP option. Everybody in this game is a GPP option. Utah switching over. Donovan Mitchell is still priced at $7,000, which actually makes him a borderline cash play. I don't know, after the ownership updates, all these guys will carry lower than expected ownership. So GPP all the way around. I don't hate any one of these plays, especially if you're playing big GPPs. If this team, or if this matchup rather, does go over 217, over under, I like all these guys from this game. AD and Kuzma and move on. I don't even think Kuzma is a lock. Okay, so I do like AD for GPPs, though. I will say that. All right, so let's go ahead, guys. If you want to spam the chat with any questions while we wait for the ownership to update, I don't even know if it will update during the stream. Hopefully it does. I will give a rough overview real quick of my favorite plays on the slate. For cash, let's run through it real quick. Let's start with the Spurs. Let's not start with the Spurs because they don't have that high owned of guys. Let's start with Indiana. Yes. Indiana, I think your cash locks are going to be Miles Turner, Justin Holiday, and Brogdon. I think Brogdon's ownership should go up, and at 6,200, I just think that's a steal. Okay? We look at Denver. I think that Jokic is going to be a decently owned guy. I like Jokic if you're looking at the center position. For OKC, Gallinari is a lock. Alexander is a lock. Those guys are going to be high owned. I like both of those guys. I think I just gave you 5 plays right there, 5 or 6 plays. Those guys are going to be high owned. All right, and then last but not least, let's talk about Ja Morant. I think that's the only lock from Memphis. I think everybody's a great GPP option on this team. Plenty of upside playing the Pelicans. Getting like 5 different messages on my phone right now. I do apologize. Morant, I think all these guys are definitely GPP viable. I love Valanciunas at 5.8%. Makes 0 sense. 7,900. People are so scared about his minutes, but he literally plays like 3 less minutes than normal centers. I like him. 1.3 fantasy points per minute. It averages more than the superstar on their team, Ja Morant. So I believe that will cover everything. We haven't even talked about the Pelicans. Pelicans, GPP. Don't even think about them in cash. We have Zion still playing limited minutes. Right now, they haven't projected at 20. I don't know if that's going to be accurate, but at 0.1%, I mean, he's $7,800, a complete fade there. Brandon Ingram, a GBP option. Drew Holiday, I guess you can throw in there. Lonzo Ball's price tag has been going up. He's now priced the same as Brandon Ingram, which I don't get. Definitely not a high usage guy. Or, well, he's a high usage guy, but not as high as Brandon Ingram, so I don't really get that. I guess people have been playing Lonzo a little too much for DK's liking. I don't know. But all these guys are GPP options. All of them are priced up. All right. Any questions here? Fade Aaron. Aaron who? Aaron Holiday. All right. So Aaron's borderline cash GPP. I don't like Aaron as much as I did before. $5,000, so it's still good. I mean, Oladipo without him on the floor, he gets a slight bump in usage. Let's go ahead and look back at that picture. We're going to include Brogdon in the mix now, so we can start that over here. Sabonis out, Bididiz out, and Oladipo. All right, so who gets the usage bump here? Bowen gets an 18.8% usage boost. No, it's probably the smallest sample size I've ever seen, 2.6 minutes. Samson boost in usage, but he's not projected any minutes, I do believe. 16 minutes. Well, that could be a GPP flyer, actually, so there you go. Samson's not a bad GPP flyer, punt play. McConnell, 0.97 fantasy points per minute, but doesn't get that many minutes without Oladipo, only like 21 minutes. We have Brogdon, 0.11 fantasy point increase at Brogdon, 1.22 fantasy points per minute, which is why I like him at the $6,200 price tag. You get a lot of upside for somebody who's priced like they should be scoring a fantasy point per minute. 12.8%. I do think that should go up. If it doesn't, I love Brogdon as a GPP option. Aaron Holiday. So here's a question. Did we start Aaron Holiday for cash or not? 0.98 fantasy points per minute. Okay, Aaron Holiday, 0.98 fantasy points per minute in 31 minutes. That's pretty good. That's pretty good at $5,000. That's like a safe bet. I would say if you're looking for a cash filler, Aaron Holiday is definitely a good option. $5,000 against Washington. I'll let him pass. So that makes Miles Turner, Justin Holiday, Aaron Holiday, and Brogdon all viable cash options in my opinion. Okay. You still like Miles Turner? Yes. Who do you like on the Washington side? I haven't gotten asked that question yet. Let's go ahead over to Washington right now. Thomas Bryant is a borderline cash option, $6,300. He averaged quite the fantasy point per minute. I have to go back to my sheet here. Yeah, there's a lot of good plays today, guys. A lot of good plays. Yeah, so, I mean, he averages over a fantasy point per minute. Right now, I have him projected at 38.99 DK points, $6,300, which makes him a very good value play. Yeah, that center position's tough, which makes AD an even better GPP option. Just saying. I mean, they'll be very thin at the center position. Indiana will, so Bryant should do pretty well. Coronavirus. I think Bryant should do pretty well. 26.9% ownership right now. I do suspect that will go down after we get all the updates here, but only slightly. I like Bryant. I do like Bryant. Hachimura, let me see what he's looking like. I keep saying I like all these plays. I like a lot of these plays. I really do. Hachimura, not as intriguing as Bryant. 29.59 points is what I have him projected at. I don't have them uploaded here. Okay. Yeah, so I have him actually slightly under the Fantasy Cruncher projection. Well, actually, 0.3 points off. So, yeah, I mean, he's not that good of a value for me. Troy Brown, we saw what he did last game. My man, Troy Brown, he got a very high usage boost last game, and he did very, very well. I think he went off. I think he was one of the best GPP plays on the slate. I like Troy Brown. I like Bryant as my favorite. Ish Smith at 29 minutes is always intriguing. These guys playing Indiana, yes, it is a pace-down offense. But, yeah, I think Ish Smith is starting. Is he not? Yeah, he is. Yeah, there's a ton of good plays out there. If anything, guys, this is my thought on the slate. you can't go wrong with targeting Indiana, Memphis, and the Spurs today. I think those guys have some great value plays. I think if you want to stack those games, at least in cash or small GBPs, you really can't go wrong there. And even OKC. So I think I just highlighted the 4 teams you should be targeting. Gallinari in there. For Indiana, it's going to be Miles Turner, both holidays. And Brogdon for Memphis, it's going to be Morant. For San Antonio, you can go with Murray. Derek White's a good option. All these guys are great options. And I think DeMar DeRozan's going to fly under the radar. Gets a slight boost with everybody off the floor. We know without LaMarcus Aldridge, he is the man on that team. I like him a lot. Jacob Hurtle is even cash viable with his usage boost. I mean, there's the center position is just so thin. You have so many different options that all the center positions outside of Turner become a good GPP option. All right. Brown is popping on my crunch, probably because you uploaded my my fantasy points to your fantasy cruncher. Yes, so Troy Brown always flies under the radar for me. I always like Troy Brown as a GPP option. OKC, thumbs down. Outside of Gallinari and like Steven Adams, yeah, I'd say so. Dylan Brooks, Melton, or Aaron Holiday? I'd say Aaron Holiday. Turner and Bryant viable? Absolutely. Yeah, those are great options. GPP lineup, Morant, Ingram, JJJ, which is Jaren Jackson, Miles Turner, Brogdon, Brandon Clark, and Thomas Bryant. That's not bad. Not bad. Expect Ingles to have to step it up for you guys to take down. Let's see. Brogdon, neck, will have his minutes monitored. All right. I did not see that. Let's look. Minutes monitored makes that very, very interesting. Let's go back to Fantasy Lab and see what I missed here. Malcolm Brogdon. They have the starting lineup. Aaron Holiday, Justin Holiday, Warren, Turner. Coronavirus. Yeah, we have to wait to see what the minutes are projected. Right now, he's projected at near 29 minutes. Let me see if ownership's updated. No. Still no update on the ownership. Derek White, love Matt. Yes, I do like Derek White as a GPP option. Josh Richardson, I really don't like Philly. I don't like Philly today. Not too much. We didn't even talk about Philly. Joel Embiid, I don't know why he's carrying 21%. I don't think that's accurate. I think he'll be very low owned. I have to make my last minute updates on Patreon, by the way. I will stay on for about 5 to 10 more minutes. Hopefully we get more updates. But like I said, guys, thank you so much for your support. If you haven't already, please hit that subscription button, guys. We go live before lock for most slates. We're going to try to make the MLB slate a little bit later. I posted a video, by the way. This is a growing community. If you guys haven't already signed for Patreon, I post my favorite leverage spots. We have a private Discord where we coach. I'll be putting up a ton more content in the future as far as my strategies. I posted a strategy video, guys. If you want an advanced strategy video, yesterday I posted it. It's about 10 minutes long. It's very straightforward, very easy about how to differentiate yourself amongst the field based on ownership. Okay, I will be rolling out the strategy for the slate that starts at 4. For myself, I've already had my second night for NBA. I had a takedown of $1,000. Yesterday didn't do too much because the cash lineup smashed, but we made a little bit of money because the cash lineup did so well. All right. SGA or Brogdon? Ooh, that's a tough question. I would say now with the minute restriction, let's just assume that the minute restriction is going to be between 25 to 28 minutes. I think that's pretty safe to assume. Right now they have him projected right at 30. I'd say 25, 28 minutes. They're going to need him with Oladipo out, but that makes Aaron Holiday, Justin Holiday, even TJ Warren, because he's going to probably be playing 36 minutes now, closer to it. TJ McConnell, it'll be interesting to see what his minutes look like. We got some TJ McConnell love in the chat earlier. I do suspect that will be up. SGA or Brogdon. I would say SGA is going to be the safer bet now with the minutes. I'm projected at 36 minutes, $6,000. You're looking at the exact same price tag on Brogdon. Yeah, I think SGA is the way I would go for safe upside. I know they're in a pace down game, but I like SGA. You guys seem to want the corgis. Let's see if they're even out here. They're not even at the door. They don't like me anymore. Warren or Harris? Which Harris? Oh, hold on, guys. This is Ellie. If you guys haven't met Ellie. Carl is the black corgi, and then we have a tan corgi. They're both puppies. Well, Ellie's over a year old, and Carl is 7 months. So, yeah, she did not like that. Ellie is definitely like an independent corgi where she doesn't like to be pet or anything. It's kind of weird. She doesn't like to be picked up like she just got picked up. She's definitely independent. But there's some good luck for you guys. We just showed the corgi on stream. Last time we did that, somebody had a big takedown. Warren or Harris? I think I'm going to lean Warren. I don't know. That's tough. Just got here. This Brogdon news. What does the Brogdon news do to the Pacers? I think it makes the guard play for Indiana a very intriguing spot because we have Justin Holiday, Aaron Holiday. They should be playing decent minutes. We have T.J. Warren and McConnell all getting minute increases. I'm looking on RotoWire. They're saying Brogdon is not on minutes restriction. Yeah, they probably didn't get the update. They probably haven't updated all their models yet because it looks like Fantasy Cruncher's behind on that too. So let's go ahead and update this one more time. Yeah, I mean, there's so much going on right now. I feel like they're going to update the ownership here in about 15, 30 minutes or so. AD or Jokic? Good question. I'd say AD for bigger GPPs, Jokic for like mid GPPs. AD's not carrying the ownership that he should for being a superstar. If you compare AD and Jokic straight up as far as fantasy point production, they're about the same. But in terms of ownership, AD's carrying the lower ownership. Who are your favorite Wizards? I believe I touched base on this a little bit earlier. Thomas Bryant. I like Thomas Bryant and I like Troy Brown. And dependent on what Ish Smith is doing with his minutes, I know he's getting the start. Right now he's projected at 29 minutes. I actually like Ish Smith here in the spot. But Thomas Bryant is definitely by far my favorite play. Averages over a fantasy point per minute, and you're talking about a 6,300 price guy at 32 minutes. I like that. Hachimura is not a bad option, but he's not that good of a fantasy point per minute player. I think he's at 0.98. 5,800 is going to be right around price accordingly. Troy Brown's usage is pretty crazy. I like his usage for him being not that good of a, or coming off the bench rather. I believe he's coming off the bench. Yeah. No, he's starting. Interesting. So his minutes are at 30. Yeah. Troy Brown is one of those guys that does better with the second unit because he is that good of a scoring option and usually is the man on that second unit. But without Bradley Beal, I mean, you're looking at pretty much a second unit roster. So that's why Troy Brown has been flourishing. Corona. I really do think that Troy Brown he's a viable option. 5,200. I like him for GPPs if he's only carrying 18%. I'm always on the Troy Brown train. I think that he's a great pivot off of some of these other guys, for sure. Better place at point guard, Simmons or Morant. SGA, that is tough. I'll say Morant is probably your safest bet. SGA is definitely a great option as well. Simmons is strictly GPP. Morant, Brooks, Joe Val for GPP stack. Yeah, I like that. I can get behind that for sure. I like Memphis with their upside with a lot of their players. Do you feel as though there are many locks or close to it on the slate? I feel like there's a lot of different directions you can go. This is definitely a GPP type of night. For cash, it's going to be tough. There's going to be a lot of different combinations. Yesterday, we saw a lineup train of like 50 people in these double-up contests that were like 100 people. I'm not kidding. I'm saying like 30 to 50 people had the same lineup in one of my double ups. It was insane, and a 100-person double up. There was an optimal lineup yesterday. I don't think that's going to be the case here today. Nope. I think there's a lot of different ways you can go, and a lot of them make sense for sure. I always think corgis look like their legs were cut off. That's the reason why I like corgis. First of all, they don't look like they should be. They don't look like they should be a living animal. They don't look productive whatsoever. They're so cute. DeRozan or Ingram? DeRozan. I like DeRozan's upside today. He is the main scorer on San Antonio. They are in a slight pace-up spot, which, like I said, is surprising. I don't know if it has to do with the bubble. You'll notice all these over-unders are kind of adjusting upward. I don't know what the deal is, but without fans, these guys seem to play. They seem to play in a more up pace or tempo. If you've been slamming the overs on all of these projections for Vegas, then you've been making a lot of money betting wise. I don't know what the deal is here. I mean, you saw the other game; it looked like an all-star game. 136, 138 for Dallas and Houston. Crazy over-unders across the board for sure. Are you on James and Davis? I'm on both of those guys for only GPP. I'm not on them for cash. Do not start those guys for cash. You can fit in a lot of other people for cash. Sorry for all the questions. Is there any elite values like we should have like the past couple of days? Let's go ahead and refresh one more time. Like I said, I think that the elite value is going to come from Indiana. If we look at Indiana, there's a couple locks here. Turner is definitely a lock. Justin Holiday is going to have to be a lock at 3,700. Aaron Holiday's borderline lock. I'd say more so now since Brogdon is playing limited minutes. Those are going to probably be my locks right now from Indiana. If we're looking at OKC, I think you have to start Gallinari, 5,600. Alexander, 6,000 is too cheap. Chris Paul becomes a GPP option. Same thing with Steven Adams. But I think Steven Adams actually has a ton of upside today at 5,400. I like him a lot. There's a lot of the center positions today have a lot of GPP upside. Been a long time. Yes, it has, man. I think I remember we played Call of Duty with you, right? I think we did. Lonnie Walker, GPP over Kuzma. Absolutely. I like Lonnie Walker today. A lot of people like Kuzma. I get it. Low-pace game. A low-pace game for sure. Oh, wrong side. And with everybody back, I'm not as high on Kuzma as a lot of people. And he's a game-time decision. So if he's actually ruled out, that becomes very interesting for this Lakers picture for sure. Because Kuzma is definitely a decent usage guy. McConnell did well. Thoughts? Yeah, McConnell, it's all about his minutes, man. Let's look at these minutes. Did they update? 21. I mean, they update. So look. Minutes updated for Brogdon. So they're not expecting it to do much, which makes this very, very interesting. Brogdon is going to not carry that much ownership because of that breaking injury news saying that he's going to be limited, but he was at 29.5. He's now at 28.5. So literally a minute difference. I like him for GPPs. Again, averaging over a fantasy point per minute. 1.13, I believe, is what he was at. $6,200. I like that price tag. I like his upside. Brogdon is one of the best players on that team, and he's going to have to do something once he's on the court because who's going to shoot the ball? Justin Holiday? Aaron Holiday, right? Not that great of a shooting team right now. We know Jeremy Lamb, when he was playing, he was a great shooter, but right now that's why TJ Warren did so well the other night. I mean, these guys are going to have to step up, and Brogdon is going to have to step up. More importantly, I like this team. I like to target the Indiana Pacers today. I really do. TJ McConnell, the only thing I'm scared about is his upside with his minutes. 4,500 is getting a little iffy. 21 minutes. I don't like him for his upside today. I don't. All right. 137 viewers right now, guys. Thank you so much for the support. I'm going to get off here in a few minutes. Like I said, if you haven't already, please hit that subscription button. We're almost to 3,000 subscribers. It's been a crazy ride. This pandemic, we have actually done very, very well through it all, and we did not expect that. With sports not being back, we had to cover things like League of Legends, CSGO. It was a rough time. But now that sports are back, we're back in business here, covering NBA, MLB, and big announcement, guys, real quick. I don't know if you saw, but there's a best ball lobby now for NFL. Just like snake drafts, just like your ESPN snake drafts, you guys can go in. I do believe the format is this. You get to pay in, draft a team, and then it's just like ESPN after that. I have to review it, but me, Kevin, and TJ will be covering this. We'll be putting out content on our favorite plays for these best ball contests on DraftKings. I like to keep it within the DraftKings community. I like to only post DraftKings content, and now that we have best ball on DraftKings, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be fun. I love season-long content. It's where I excel. I love managing a team throughout the season. A lot of people get lazy, and when there's money on the line, if you get lazy, I'm going to take advantage of that, right? So we have to stay on top of this. We're going to be posting out content. I cannot wait to cover this. If you are an NFL fan, stay tuned. Especially you guys, hit that subscribe button. You guys will be getting season-long content. All right, last question, and I'll go ahead and close it on that note, guys. Like I said, a lot of potential plays out here. Let me update one more time to see what the ownership looks like. We'll have it all updated on Patreon for you guys. Yep, hasn't updated yet. There's a lot to cipher through, but I gave away some of my favorite cash plays. Hopefully you guys take advantage of that. Justin Holiday, JJJ, or White Clark GPP. That's tough. That's a good combination. I will say Justin Holiday and JJJ. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for taking your time throughout the day to join in the stream. Really do appreciate, guys, all the support. And thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and let's cash.
These roads intersect, on each one I reflect. These lines write my story. These places change me, each one replacing. Like night into morning, I miss the old